talk about two things. The one is that partly because of for introducing a new technology, they have to be institutional innovation and social innovation together with that. That is the reason why many people are calling for the social vision, the low carbon society or recycling society or the whatever, Many people are picking up their specific idea for promoting their social vision. But I have some doubt that there are too many visions. We have only one society, but too many visions. How to manage that? So I'm a little bit skeptical about that kind of the calling for the vision. So having those kind of things in mind, I'd like to emphasize that sometimes Doushou-imu is important. We don't necessarily to have a single vision to have a common action. So sometimes Doushou-imu is important. Doushou-imu, I mentioned, means that sharing the same bed but a different dream. For example, some people are pushing for the nuclear technology. Some people pushing that technology for the energy security purpose. But other people are pushing that for the low carbon society. But other people are pushing for that as an indigenous technology, which is very important for example, Japanese context and others. So many people having different things in mind, but still we can work together. So that aspect seems to be a very important thing we have to bear in mind. One of the topic of this annual meeting is the green economy. And the green economy can be characterized as also the Doushou-imu, because on the one hand, it tries to improve the environment, but on the other hand, it tries to stimulate the economic investment. So they have several objectives, and sometimes it's possible simultaneous achievement of the several objectives together. And that's sometimes very important socially for introducing the new technology. But on the other hand, we have to be careful a little bit that it's not always possible to have a Doushou-imu. Sometimes sharing the same bed together with someone is a nightmare. I never like to do that. So that kind of the judgment sometimes have to be made, a kind of value judgment, especially if the technology somehow relate to the human dignity issue or human right issue or that kind of sensitive issue. Sometimes technology have to care about that kind of aspect. The typical example might be the birth control. It's touch upon the religious issue and the basic human rights issue. So sometimes it's very difficult, to deal these aspects relating to the technology. But still, there is a possibility for the Doushou-imu, and that's very important for the transition management for the introducing a new technology. For facilitating that, sometimes knowing the context is important. Who is the stakeholder, and what kind of thing they are thinking, what's the perception about the issue. So I try to develop the so-called problem structuring method with my colleague in the engineering school. The problem structuring is a kind of method to identify what each stakeholder is thinking about. What's the problem, what's the objective for them, what the environmental factors which have impact on them. So we try to visualize that kind of the perception of each stakeholder and try to analyze that, the comparison among them, and we try to analyze the mutual expectation. What stakeholder A is expecting, what stakeholder B, and what stakeholder C is expecting to stakeholder B, for example. So we try to analyze the difference of the perspective in an analytical way, and also try to identify some mutual expectation. So this is a little bit engineering type of method, but it's very interesting. We try to introduce that for the community sustainability issue in the Furano in Hokkaido, or the sustainability issue of transport in the Kanto region in Tokyo area, greater Tokyo area. So much more than we expected, they have divergent view of the same issue. The different stakeholders have a very different perspective even to the same issue, and they're very different time range, time horizon they have. For example, in the case of the Kanto transport policy, we interviewed the Toyota company, for example. So they are having the time range of the 50 years. Of course, they are caring about the Kanto transport policy, but major issue is the India and the Chinese market in the future. So they can use the Kanto as an experiment for the future transport policy together with the public transport entities. But in the case of the bureaucrats, national bureaucracy, they are claiming the long-term perspective. But actually, their perspective is very small sometimes. Longest 5 years, sometimes 2 or 3 years because of the personal turnover period is 2 or 3 years in the case of Japan. So that kind of the difference can be identified, and also through the mutual expectation analysis, what each stakeholder is expecting to other stakeholder, we can pick up the potential Doushou-imu. They can commit to the same position with different things in mind. So that's kind of the method of the problem structuring can be used for understanding the context. So anyway, understanding context and the potential, try to identify the potential for the Doushou-imu for managing the transition process. That's very important issue. In my slide, I try to pick up some of the sustainability issue we face in Japan and what's the context for that. For example, we have an agricultural issue. We have a deserted agricultural land. Even though we are claiming the multifunctional function of the agricultural land, partly because of the lack of the spatial concentration, partly because of the policy of the agriculture cooperative to keep the number of the farmers and the politicians' incentive to keep the number of the voter, that doesn't work. And we have the medical collapse and the dropping out of the young capable doctors from the hospital because they are too busy because of so many beds they have, and there is a conflict between the medical association composed of the small hospital and a big hospital. Resource allocation is somehow not good for the hospital. That's the source of the medical collapse. And we have the competition among the utilities, gas company and the electricity companies pushing for each own energy-saving devices, so-called the EcoCute and the EcoWheel, that kind of stuff. So that kind of situation can be changed. Technology and a catalyst. Technology can be a catalyst for forcing a new form of the Doushou-imu and the potential collaboration